primary ignition.
This is Star Wars.
Look out!
Core World News.
You may fire when ready.
From the bright center of the galaxy, I'm Grace Kondak, and you're listening to Core World News, your whole news service providing in-depth coverage of the latest stories developing in every sector of the galaxy. Welcome to another special presentation of Andor Candor. We now go live to the CWN newsroom to join your host, Ben Grandadam, for the review of Episode 7, The Announcement.
All right, thank you very much, Grex. Welcome, everyone, to another edition of Core World News. This week, we are just going to cover Andor Episode 7, The Announcement. As Grex mentioned, we had previously talked about possibly covering the book this week, Path of Deceit. We're going to push that back to November because we just want to focus and drill down on these things and give it all our effort. And really excited to just focus on Andor while we're running through this series and just doing one topic at a time here. One more housekeeping announcement. If you wouldn't mind pressing pause real quick and scrolling to the top of your Spotify and hitting a 5-star like for us, we would greatly appreciate it. Takes 2 seconds. But it means the world to us. That said, let's get into Andor. Grant, you got a breakdown for us. You got a full summary? You summarized this episode.
I've watched this episode a few times now, and I have to say the character stories are so tightly interwoven that it was near impossible to write a summary without sort of chunking characters together and sort of forgetting about chronological order of events.
Yeah. So my question is this longer or shorter than the episode itself?
This will be short. This is about as quick as I could possibly surmise what had happened. But there's a lot of lore, a lot of world building, and just a lot of information doled out in this episode. So just we can jump in and talk about things as things happen. But from what we find out, it's basically the Empire is tightening its fist in response to the heist on Aldhani in this episode, and the Emperor himself is holding emergency Senate hearings to propose legislation that will grant the Empire new emergency powers and allow for increased freedoms in surveillance, search, and seizure protocols, as well as more severe sentencing for those convicted of criminal act against the Empire. And this is all relayed in a long monologue by the legend himself, Colonel Wolf Yularen. Like, hold on to your seats. Like, this is how the episode begins. Meanwhile, Cyril Karn, the disgraced pre-war deputy, gets out of his mom's house and lands a job at checks notes the Bureau of Standards.
Like there could be a
Luthen and Mon Mothma talk about the burgeoning rebellion. Luthen says the network is built, it grows, or it dies. Ultimately, the beautiful button on that scene, we can't hide forever. Later, Clea, Luthen's assistant, walks through several districts of downtown Coruscant to meet none other than Vel. Clea gives Vel the new mission to find Cassian and remove him from the Zarak board, given he's seen Luthen's face, and Luthen now leads this new rebel network. Supervisor Dedra Miro is doing a deep dive in the Imperial database to hunt for rebel activity, which she believes involves stolen Imperial equipment. At a later meeting, Blevin accuses her of overreach yet again. This time, the tables are turned, and Dedra is paid a compliment by Partagaz and gifted control of Morlont 1. Then came the moment we've all been waiting for. We finally get Mon Mothma's dinner party. Yeah, Perrin's embassy punch is flowing. Mon Mothma tells her banker friend her reputation is an irritation for the Empire. Always trying to call it Imperial overreach as a facade, and that she needs access to her family funds. Back on Ferrix, Cassian tries to convince Marva to leave her home and escape the now Imperial-controlled city. While letting Marva get some rest before they leave in the morning, Cassian visits Bix. They have an endearing conversation, and Cassian finally pays back his debt before walking back into the night. Also experiencing flashbacks of his father in these scenes, which is really, really traumatizing yet just harrowing imagery. In the morning, Marva refuses to leave, and Cassian is heartbroken. Back on our favorite, cue synthwave music, Blue Flamingos. We see Cassian started a new life on the beach world of Niamos, and once again taking up a new identity. Keith, on a routine trip to the drugstore, Cassian gets stopped by a shore trooper, and before he knows it, he's being sentenced before a judge. With the public order resentencing directive now active, we see Cassian gets a brutal sentence of 6 years. Cyril's looking at a data log, presumably inmate databases for Imperial correctional facilities, possibly searching for Andor, a needle in a haystack. End of episode.
Wow.
Yeah.
Grant, that was fantastic. I just want to say
was-
thank you for
yeah.
doing that. That's fantastic.
Just a quick summary of kind of what happened, but
Which
that was it's all interwoven. It actually happens all together in some sort of beautiful sort of symphony. The character stories.
Yeah. No, but I want to thank you as well. That was really well done, and it really does illustrate. Some of these episodes really take their time with characters, which I love. This episode, I mean, is this the most we've seen all of our plot lines in one episode? Like we spent equal amount of time with everyone. I feel like, yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. And when you said symphony, Grant, I mean, first of all, you dropped a lot of great proper nouns, which make me very happy. All the sector, which is great. You got it all. You even got the punch in there. I was like, you won't remember the punch, but Grant doesn't miss
the embassy punch. No, that was not wasted on me.
Oh man,
Perrin's embassy punch.
Really? Is that what it was called? Because I when I heard it was like EC punch or something.
No, it's embassy. Because I saw it on closed captioning. I'm like, that's fascinating and awesome. Also, like,
Perrin's embassy.
Embassy. Like Perrin made it. Okay, I know we're gonna like talk about more important things, but is Perrin the worst Star Wars character in history in terms of like the one I hate the most?
He's a benevolent irritation or whatever Mon Mothma says while he's in frame and she's staring at him.
All the words I want to use to describe him, I feel like would make this not a family show.
We'll get an E. We'll get an E rating.
We'll get an E rating.
I know, because I'm right with you. Because like,
is he schmoozing with guests like right in front of his wife? Like, what is happening?
I don't think you mean I think I like that you say schmoozing, because schmoozing's okay. I think he's like straight up like flirting and like I guess talking to his mistress. Like that's my interpretation of that scene.
And he always has an eye on Mon the whole time because it's like classic cheater syndrome. Like you're deathly afraid of being cheated on, even though he's probably cheating on his wife.
I mean, there's no probably about it. That man.
I mean, it's happening in the house.
Yeah,
but
the other thing about it is like how much of it is I need to unpack my Perrin hate, and then we can move on to more important things. Okay. Is it because we know who Mon Mothma becomes?
Yes.
Like, is that part of it too? Like, you just like I was just watching various Star Wars with my daughter, which is interesting. She's 2, so there's a lot of riding the fast forward button. But I saw her and I'm like, oh, she's like the leader of the rebellion eventually, and I'm like, she deserves so much better. Like, it's just this internal.
Yeah. I think it's totally because we're super fanboys. Like we just put Mon Mothma on a pedestal, and then to see her just like disrespected by her snotty nosed teenage daughter and her deadbeat husband, it's tough to watch. It's tough to watch.
I think it's a beautiful way to display the sort of ignorance of the aristocracy too, or of this sort of elite sort of governing sort of body. I think Perrin's like a fun addition just to explore just how sort of like acutely unaware these people are.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and it also is interesting too because Mon Mothma is not where we see her eventually. Like she's still a little, maybe timid is not the right word, but like that scene between her and Luthen, I think is actually my favorite scene in the entire episode. Yeah,
we'll get there.
I kept saying that for every scene. I was like, nope, this one's my favorite scene. No,
it's true.
This episode had every trailer line too. I was like, line cut was in this episode.
Yeah.
With amazing line reads from everybody. I thought everyone was just operating on all hypercoils. It was pretty awesome to watch. The Luthen Mon Mothma scene was incredible. Just. Yeah. Him saying we can't hide forever at the end, that got me. I was like, ooh, like his heart's in the game.
Oh yeah. He was like, of course people are going to get hurt. That was the plan. People will suffer. That's the plan. Yeah. There's a million, I just jotting down lines for a game we'll play later, or a new rodeo round, we're going to call it.
Episode
that's a working title.
Episode Rodeo Roundup. Yeah. No.
No.
I'm game.
Yeah, I was just writing down lines, and I couldn't because there was so many. But like just from that conversation alone,
and you ended up with a direct transcript.
Exactly. I was like, it'd be easier to just get this.
Every line was good. Turns out every line was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like you said, Grant, they all the scenes all daisy chained into each other. It was sort of like the end of one scene was like
we're talking about Cyril's tailoring, and we're cutting to Dedra pulling her tunic out of the closet and seeing her wrap her tunic, and he so desires that position, right, to be in the ISB. And
and then we see that, like you said, the heartbreaking scene with Clem, the flashback to we find out who Clem is really is the father, right? Actually, and so he just gets like accidental, like he just wrong place, wrong time, even though he was whatever, planning a rebellious act. And then at the end of the episode, we'll get there, but we see the same thing happen to his son, Cassian Andor, wrong place, wrong time, though he is sort of part of the rebellion, get caught.
But both things, like accidentally caught for things that are not actually what they're doing, and yet they still like. Yeah, it's this episode. At times when I was done with it, made me feel dumb in a wonderful way, where I'd literally be like 2 days later thinking about it, I'm like, oh, that's a parallel. Like when I was watching it, like when I first time I watch an episode, it's just like plot, 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 plot. Am I following what's happening? And usually with other shows or even other episodes, this is just like, yep, got everything. And this episode was challenging in a wonderful way where I just kept going, oh, right, that connects to that. That's this. It's really the most challenging, in a good way, episode of Star Wars television we've ever had.
Yeah. We get a really quick two Cinta scenes.
Right.
For some reason, pretty much just to get the sort of Jedha Star Destroyer overhead shot.
Yep.
And then we see her going down the mountain, but it's like intercut with some Cassian scenes, and it's just like darkness and clothing, and it's like it was like kind of the two, like they just flowed in and out of each other, and it was just kind of fascinating.
Yeah,
I didn't even mention Cinta is still on Aldani, basically fulfilling her mission apparently, and we still don't know like what the extent of that mission is.
No.
Yeah, but she has the world's oldest speeder. Like, Elzar Mann like rebuilt this thing 6 times. Like, it is the oldest.
I knew you knew where that speeder came from somewhere in the books. I'm happy.
It's totally going to be.
Man, that thing looks like it was put together from like 2 exhaust tubes and like I don't know, like the first droid ever built. Like it's a wreck. But I loved it.
I also want to say I found the flashbacks to Clem, which I guess we clarified, but just to doubly clarify, because Cassian was also going by Clem, right?
Yes.
In the last 2 episodes, in honoring his father, but like, Clem, who he got his name from. I found his whoever. Okay, I'll just say this and we can unpack it. Whoever edited this, and it might have been Gilroy, whoever put together where these flashbacks happen, has dealt with anxiety and trauma before.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I found it, and I know this is a very like cliche word, but I found it very triggering, like kind of like in the way it's supposed to be. Like, this is how anxiety works. Like it's just like it didn't. From a screenwriting perspective, you kind of see flashbacks happen in a very like, this is what should happen, and it happens every 5th scene or happens every here. This would happen, and then it wouldn't happen for a while, and then it would happen again, and it would happen again really quickly after that. And it really kept me on edge, like in a really great way, where I just felt really uncomfortable in a good way. I know it sounds weird to say, but like it really felt natural the way these flashbacks happened.
Yeah. Yeah, so it feels elemental too. It feels like foundational to Cassian. I mean, this is his hatred for the Empire we're seeing. This is where it was first formed with the death of his father. And then that's basically him charging at that Imperial barracks, right? Like, that's what I took in as a flashback.
Yeah. And most likely the reason
as
why
Marva's saying, you don't know what it takes or you don't know what it means. And he's like, actually, I know exactly what it means. And I hate the Empire as much as anyone. And that's kind of what the episode did for me. It was an announcement of his intent basically in this episode as well, as
Yeah.
Dedra says the action on Aldhani was an announcement. I think it's also, this is Cassian's story is he's one of the first rebels ever. He's dealt with the terror of the Empire. He knows what it is. It's kind of, yeah, that was powerful. Really, really powerful flashback work. And yeah, I really liked how it was paced out. It feels realistic. It feels like it hits him in bursts, and it's.
And we get no resolution to those flashbacks. The last flashback we get is him charging soldiers. That's it.
Yeah, which led me to believe that was the reason, because we know he spent some time in like juvenile prison,
right?
And I think that was probably it. That's probably what
100%.
Which is very
100%. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, way to do that. It's just like, well, if you were paying attention, it's like, yeah, that's the thing. I also thought with just like still going on those flashback scenes, like you said, very organic. It was sort of like when like there was a look on the character's face in like current time, and then all of a sudden you tell they're thinking about this, and it's just like, but the way that it was shot is almost like you're looking through your fingers. Like it was like, I remember my foot crackling on the ground. It's a lot of shots on the ground with feet, and it's just like flashes of the target. It's sort of like not the full face in frame, and like it was just like, it felt like anxiety. It felt like how you would remember it.
It really did. And if we're talking about this, I think we just need to dive into the Marva scene, just because I think it was the best moment in television this year that I've seen in the last 10 years. She just destroyed me. Like those scenes destroyed. Fiona Shaw, again, we lauded her in the first couple episodes, but like this has really come full circle on just how amazing her performance has been so far, and it's wow. It's just it was one of the best scenes I've ever seen in television.
I mean, she better be. I mean, the Emmys are broken and all award shows are broken in Hollywood, but she better be nominated and win for Best Supporting Actress. Like it is the scene where she talks about putting her coat back, putting her best coat on, and walking through that square. I literally in a show where there's action, I literally pump my fist. And I'm like, that's the moment of like emotional resolution. Like that's my fist pumping moment for the episode.
Yeah,
for me, more than anyone, is really inspired by what happened on Aldhani. It's really moving. It's amazing.
She has a million great lines there, but like the one that like ripped my heart out of my chest was when like towards the end of her like monologue, B2 Emo goes, "Can I speak now?" And she goes, "No."
Yeah.
And I was just like,
shut down.
So I'm dying to know what B2 Emo would have said there. And you guys can ruminate on that. But why do you think that?
Who turned me in? Tim.
Tim. Oh,
that got me. He's in the corner.
I wanted to not like that droid just because his name is so ridiculous, but I just want to take him home and snuggle him and make him feel better.
I know. Yeah.
Thing. Why don't you think Cassian's telling Marva that like everything she loves, everything she's treasuring right now in the world, this like brand new, this reinvigoration of rebellion and spirit in her body, like is everything that Cassian's been doing actively? Why is he not telling her?
Because he did it for pay, and he left, right? So I think he's dealing with that issue. He feels like a pretender, right? Like I think part of it is I don't think he identifies himself as a rebel yet, or as a person who did this. So
he's still refusing the call, right?
I think he is. I think when spoiler alert, his mother dies.
Oh.
I mean, let's be honest. I think that's going to be part of it. And I think also a very telling scene where she says basically, "Don't keep chasing after your sister." Like we're clearly setting up the second act of this thing.
It's something we could definitely talk about for 20 minutes as to is he going to give up the search, or is he going to keep going, and what does that mean? What could Cassian's sister represent in the story thus far, and all this sort of stuff. But that scene just destroyed me.
I don't know, but when Cyril Karn kills his sister, that's
that was your early prediction.
Yep.
I love it. It's happening.
I am standing by it.
Oh man.
Yeah, I also love the Bix conversation. When he goes to see Bix, he kind of has this he taps on some like metal tube that like sort of like is his sign that he's there, and then the best use of basically like a door intercom, that like the sort of sci-fi trope of like the door intercom that I've ever seen. It's him kind of leaning. It's actually a really, really gripping conversation. And I was just like, I lost track that she's behind the door at one point. I was like, oh yeah, he's just like leaning against a wall. We're like really just looking at a door right now.
Yeah.
Nothing's happening. And I thought that was just very well done. And you felt a lot of emotion and backstory there. Yeah.
He wanted to take Bix with him, right? Like he still cares for her and wanted her to come abscond with him, right?
That could have been the idealistic sort of vision.
I think he was testing the waters to see if like there's a chance. She's the only one he went to go see other than his mother.
I read it the same way. Like I think he still has feelings and was hopeful. Yeah.
And they have that sort of secret, noise or him hitting the tube with the rock or whatever.
Yeah.
Like that just infers that they go back.
I also want to mention, like, I think my prediction, I don't remember what my prediction was, but I remember I said the one thing he's not going to do. Right?
Let's go back to Aldani, right?
Is go back to not Aldani. Ferrex, right? Where I'm like, which is exactly what it did. By the way, this is one of those moments where every week where I'm like, I'm glad I'm not the writer. Like, this is exactly what he needed to do, and I'm so glad we got this. This is great. But like, I like that he's not, I don't know how to say this. He's not smart yet in terms of being. It felt
dangerous when he was there. Rebel. I was like,
it's very dangerous.
I was like, you are going to get caught. There's like Imperial patrols in the street. Like, what do you?
Well, do you think he was really? Because he was like, he's like, these stormtroopers aren't going to catch me. Was that just like, oh, these are like, okay, so here we go. In the flashbacks, the troopers were wearing clone helmets, not stormtrooper helmets.
Yeah, they were.
And so was that a dig on the current ones are wearing regular stormtrooper helmets? So was he suggesting that like that these are half the troopers that they used to be? It was weird because they used Phase 1 clone trooper helmets, which is I think he just thinks he knows the streets better than them Imperial occupiers. Yeah. Okay.
All right, can I ask a real basic question? Are they using Phase 1 because all of Phase 2 were all digitally created and there's no actual Phase 2 armor that can actually be used?
Probably
in real life.
Yeah.
There's some real minutia question for you. But that's really interesting. I didn't pick up on that statement, but I'm guessing that's true. Like if you we all know in the lore, like the conscripted and the other, first the non-clone stormtroopers are just not as good, right?
Yeah.
Which makes sense because not amount of training, there's not all the genetic stuff, so it makes sense that he feels that way. I also think he's just kind of saying what will make Marva and others feel better. Like I think he talks bravado, and then that's why Diego Luna is like got the best. Like Luna has the best expressive face.
Yeah,
like because you can see him say something, and then he turns around, and you're like, oh, he doesn't believe that at all.
I thought this sort of like joyous energy was really smart to capture because it makes him appear very youthful, and I feel like what this show has to do is sell us 19. On him being younger than he was in Rogue One, and this scene actually did that perfectly. When he's like, "Oh, I got a big score!" Like he was so happy about that. It had a very youthful energy, and even seeing Bix, he had a kind of youthful energy, and there was just you can sense there's some sort of glee in there. Maybe it's the money, maybe it's the credits. I don't know, but he's
rich.
Yeah.
He's like,
he thinks he sees a way out.
Yeah.
Which is, and that's such a heartbreaking moment where he basically expresses that, and Marva's like, "There's nowhere we can go we're not under the thumb of the Empire," which is such a great moment of just like, oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah, you're about to find out. What about the Imperial side? Because those scenes were amazing. Major Partagas, like incredible. I mean, the Wolf Yularen scenes were good, but it was just sort of informational, and he was just
kind
like
of just filling out.
But great. Yeah. But the Partagas himself is amazing. That ISB chamber, I mean, I could just watch them like go through their itinerary all day long. But yeah, I mean, the Denise Guff, is that her name? Gough. Deidre Miro. Her like the casting, like her face is just like if you were like created in a computer system, like I need an Imperial officer's face. It's just like, I mean, they've made her look like she never sleeps, she never eats, she just hunts rebels. Like that's like just the cheekbones and the frown. She just has this like natural like frown. But like, yeah, she looks perfect, and then the dialogue is so
there's a part where
great.
she when she goes to that data center and she asks that
Ferenzi or
his name is, and he's like Captain Felzonis or whatever.
I
don't know.
Felzonis, you're right. Attendant
Felzonis, yeah, perfect.
And then she
not
just
a captain.
She just goes, like she just gives a it barely acknowledges his name, like, and I was like, this is the sort of this is the snobbery of Imperial ISB operative. Like this is she just nails it.
But like we said last week, I'm still kind of rooting for her, even though
that's the thing. That's why the show is brilliant. Like I watched that scene between her and Miro. Well, her and was it Hart
Blevin?
Blevin, thank you. Blevin, yeah. And like it's just like, oh yeah, you get him, Miro. And I'm like, no, wait, if you get him, you're actually getting closer to capturing the rebels, but you're totally rooting for her. It's all about it's all about being part of a bureaucracy.
Yeah. And again, Partagaz, he actually said the word Endeavor, and y'all should go watch the show Endeavor, because Partagaz is the same character in Endeavor, only in, old time London, and he's great.
Oh, right.
Better.
I was like, what is Endeavor? I remember Ben telling me about Endeavor. That's right.
Yeah. But watch the show Endeavor. It's on Amazon, and you'll thank me later.
Yeah,
I will do that.
That fiery debate in the ISB sort of briefing room was amazing. Like that, I live for that stuff, and just Partagaz like savaging Joan to start the meeting.
Yeah.
I was like, or Young, and I just that was amazing. Or he's like,
so good.
Like that's almost one of the best lines in the whole thing. He's like, so like you have 3 theories for why you're wrong, and he's like, oh, that's correct. He's like, oh, I'm heartening, like
heartened by your
heartened by it. Yeah.
But the best part of that is just Young having to like,
welcome, sir. It's so good.
Like,
Lieutenant Mira, you have to be ventilated in front of the greater public right now.
Yeah. But it's amazing because I've not been in that bad of a situation, but having gone through higher level academia, I have been somewhat like that called out by a professor, and knowing in that situation that you have to just kind of like figure out a way to agree with them to appease them. Like it made my skin crawl from memories. Again, nowhere near as bad as that, but just knowing how do you intellectually agree with being called an idiot is a skill you need in situations like that.
Yeah, got destroyed.
Homeboy got killed.
I love that scene. Honestly, like I think there's just so many good moments in there. Just so many great expressions. I mean, like, and just like the thesis, please. Line.
Thesis, please. Yeah, he's like, you just insulted me to my face. Like, why don't you just elaborate a little bit? Yeah,
amazing.
Yeah.
But I mean, it just shows that Partagaz is actually one of the few smart leaders, right? Like he's like, okay, you're doing this, but there's kind of 2 brands of Imperial leaders.
And we also find out that Partagaz has drawn the lines on the map for the sectors. The
yes,
right. Yeah,
I knew you'd love that.
So I love that.
Yeah, I thought of you.
I'm on Tarkin Doctrine, Imperial Doctrine watch. And that was kind of hinting at the idea of the Imperial sort of creating the Empire creating over sectors, but I guess it's just sectors at this point. And it seems like Partagaz is the one who decided those sectors at this stage in the game, and it's just fascinating. That whole scene is just fascinating. And then because I forget one of the supervisors sticks up for Partagaz. It's like Partagaz drew those lines.
Yeah. Some Imperials suck up. Yeah.
And then And then I think one of the best lines in the whole show, basically, we'll save it for our game later, but like when Deirdre has a line to that is just so good. Like it might be my favorite line of the show, so I'm saving.
Okay.
Discussion.
Really fun, man. Really fun. Yeah, and then Yularen was mentioning they brought up the Army and the Navy again, which is like part of Gaz mentioned. He's like, this is a job for the Navy, like, not for ISB, and like he's like, now you can expect to have full access to the Army and the Navy. So I don't know. This is sort of, this action really led to the full militarization. They were always there, and they were, in a lot of places and meddling. Right. But it seems like. How do you guys
feel about Wolf Yularen being like, I spoke with Emperor Palpatine last night?
Name drop much?
We get a lot of. They drop Palpatine's name like 10 times in this episode, and I'm like, just show me Palpatine. Like,
I was like, organically, he could have shown up at like a kind of a senatorial gala or on Mon Mothma. I was like, why not? He can't stroll through with like Sly Moore and the Grand Vizier. Mazameda gets name dropped a couple times.
Yo, man. Well, first of all, I love how far we feel from the Emperor right now. Like, I love that it's just like, he's, because it only like amplifies his importance. It's just like, like when, Yularen's name dropping him, like it's, the Pope or whatever. And like, but not someone anyone sees, and you really feel it because, I don't know, you're down with the corpos and stuff so far in this series. And it's like, no, the Emperor is the top of the pyramid. But, if I'm bold prediction of the day, I'm going to say, Palpatine shows up at the opening of Mon Mothma's new nonprofit.
Interesting.
Like he sees right through all this, and he's just like, "I'm watching you."
Maybe. I just feel like Palpatine wasn't really out and about doing anything, right? Like I expect if we're going to see him, it would be in like a hologram at the Senate.
Yeah, to what you said initially, I like how far away we feel, and I like how we're just the cog, basically, like in the larger machinery of the Empire.
I said it was a bold prediction.
Yeah, it was definitely bold. Yeah,
like because he's not there until he's there, and like we usually get it first person Palpatine, but he does stuff like that. He just shows up to places and like blows people up. Or at least
to see him.
Chancellor Palpatine did that a lot with the Jedi.
You know how we could see Palpatine is maybe Dedra Miro does such an excellent job tracking down some sort of contingent of the rebellion that she's awarded a medal and Palpatine's there.
Yeah, could be.
Maybe. Yeah.
But it'll feel super powerful when we finally
But I don't know if we need it, honestly. Like
that's the thing I also
if he walked by
would not be
at Mon Mothma's dinner party, I wouldn't be like, that's weird. I'd be like, no, that makes sense. He's there, and people are like hushed about it.
Yeah,
over the corner.
Yeah, they would. I don't think they'd play that card unless they wanted to like slam it on the table in this show. They don't do anything casually, and it's like they build up the weight of these characters so well. So like even Yularen, it feels like a huge deal.
Right.
Him.
I wouldn't mind an off-screen sort of Emperor scene where like Yularen is just talking to the Emperor, but we almost never see him. It's more of just like he's just getting instructions.
It's almost weirdly more powerful to not see him and have him just be like, I spoke to the Emperor, like that. Yeah, that moment just was like that felt really powerful. 2 moments of things I thought were gonna might happen differently. When Cyril is going for his job interview,
the brown suit.
Yeah, and his new supervisor just mentions Ferrix. And he goes on this whole diatribe of like, what happened to him. I really expected to be a moment of comedy where the guy was just like, I was just gonna mention like what an interesting place that is, which I really thought they were like, I was waiting for the button on the joke, which they didn't go for, which is good. And then when we finally cut to, not finally, but when we cut to Cassian on the I don't know, the Miami Vice planet.
Oh, Space Cancun?
Yeah, Space Cancun. There's part of me like, all right. We'll just. I'm sorry. I'm sure everyone else wanted to take this moment. When we see the as Ben mentioned, or as Grant mentioned, when we hear synthwave and see flamingos, and it cuts to the scene, I'm like, Lando. Like I knew it wasn't going to be, but I was just like, if you're going to introduce Lando in any way, this is how you introduce Lando.
Yeah. Oh man, he would have totally been there. I wasn't thinking that at all.
No, why would you?
I think it was a little too low rent for Lando. Like
Yeah.
that
We
place,
kind
like,
of
it was
buried the
full,
lead
but-
also by not talking about the what happens on Naomis and what we see there, which is the KX series, Imperial Security Droids. And did you guys think is it K2SO? Is it gonna have
Yes.
is Alan
Yep.
Tudyk
Yes.
gonna voice?
I was waiting for Alan Tudyk to yep, and I
was like, it's happening.
and then
Oh.
pleasantly surprised when it's like this just deeper, more sort of like robotic, I don't know, sounding voice.
It sounded like the ones in Fallen Order.
Yeah, I'm checking. It was voiced by Aiden Cook.
Sure. There's a lot of stuff.
It's a KX series, yeah. God, that was so terrifying. And Adam, as a horror fan, I was like, when he's like, hang, or what, I was like, this is terrifying.
It was actively disturbing.
It was really disturbing.
Yeah.
It's
You're
also
looking
like-
through the like portholes in the wall, and someone's just
Yeah.
getting like shredded behind the wall by a different KX droid, and like, yeah.
I also find head injuries very upsetting in movies. There's a spoiler alert. There's kind of a possibly plot relevant head injury in the new Halloween movie. But I'll debate people about that. I'm like, is that what explains what happened there? Anyway, but in this movie, in the show, where he slams him against the wall and he bangs his head, and there's like a schlunk sound. I'm like, ugh. I was waiting for like him to like put his hand behind his head and find blood. It was, I don't like that. I don't like head injuries in movies.
Fair.
It really spine tingling.
Yeah. And then apparently, what should we call it? Oh God, what's his name? From Force Unleashed, the voice actor
Sam Witwer.
Sam Witwer apparently voiced that shore trooper.
Oh really?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I was wondering if that was going to be a person, because they well, usually when you get that many lines, it's someone, you know.
Yeah.
I thought it was actually
classic.
really done. It sounded like classic trooper sort of dialogue.
Yeah.
Beautifully, beautiful line reads on that. Thought this was perfect.
Yeah, it was terrifying and perfect at the same.
Yeah,
It was
terrifying.
just-
I mean, obviously terrifying.
It's like I wasn't running. It's like I'm not doing anything. He's like, calm down, sir. You're
I know.
Like, oh
it's
my
such
God.
it's such a great moment, because it just shows how you can't, like,
Oh, did you know something about criminal justice? I forget. What do you do for a job?
Yeah, like, yeah. So this is like how political do I want to get? Where do I want to go with this? But like, if a person in authority is assuming a behavior from someone, literally any way that person responds is going to confirm
Yeah.
that authority figure's assumption, right? Like,
Well said.
you watch that as a very, as very professorial of me, but you watch that, there's no way to talk your way out of it, right? No matter what you say, because the denial sounds like you're trying to hide the truth. You have something to hide.
The I'm a tourist card was a pretty good play, though.
Pretty good, but
Yeah.
as you can see,
was
it
like
didn't
nuts.
work. There's nothing you could say.
Oh.
He was profiled immediately.
Oh man, that was good times.
Yeah,
So
I hate sometimes when Star Wars starts bleeding into my professional career, because I'm just like, oh, no
Yeah,
escapism for me.
So much unauthorized.
Real world, wah.
oh no, I mean the tension was still there in every scene in this episode, even though there wasn't a huge heist. It was still like, even just Mon Mothma and Tay, or Corla, walking through the thing. She's like, keep smiling, and it was like, she was constantly being watched, and I was like, who's in that place? If Sly Moore sees this, like, something is gonna go down. And there's just tension throughout the whole episode.
Tay is also really bad at following that instruction.
Yeah, he's
Just follow, I'm like, but again, and I think that's such great acting. That is just, it's Ben Miles is the actor who plays Tay, and if you as a Anglophile of late 90s, early aughts British sitcoms, if you ever watched Coupling, which is like the British version of Friends, He's one of the characters on that, and he's so good. I've not watched that show. I'm sure it does not hold up to modern gender politics, but I liked it at the time. I was young and dumb. Just profile anyway. But he's really great, and watching that, I'm like gonna dig myself out of this hole real quick. Watching him, he's so good at that, like trying to smile but clearly not selling it. It's so tense.
He's like
every time he doesn't smile, and I'm like, you're not smiling enough.
Yeah, amazing.
Parents not to be trusted.
I want to get into our last game because I want to let it breathe a little bit and enjoy it.
Yeah,
episode roundup.
It'll definitely
episode roundup
lead to discussion, I'm sure.
Yeah, grand structure this time. I did want to say mention one thing, that another like little nugget that I missed the first time I watched it. So Karn moves for mouse droids.
Yes. Yeah.
Did you notice that?
I did. I'm like, what is that? Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I mean,
great.
He's usually a giant Wookiee or something, like yelling at the mouse droids, like we saw Chewbacca do it. I think they echoed it with Chrysanthemum. But when a mouse droid rolls towards Cyril Karn, he like jumps out of the way.
Jumps out of the way. Anyway. This is why.
I'm not saying he's got to be a tough guy, but like,
but he's meek, and people don't believe that he's capable of great violence, and we're going to see him capable of great violence at some point in this series. We're underestimating him.
We shall see.
Yeah. Anything else where y'all want to add to the conversation before we get into the Rebel Roundup?
Probably not, but there's so much.
Rebellion
so
Rodeo.
much in this episode. We probably talk about it for days, but so much.
What was the I don't know. I forgot the character's name, so forgive me. But the random character in bed while is that scene is amazing. Of just like, give me more nog, the greeny red nog.
Yeah,
it's
the greeny red grungies.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing.
You liked those, didn't you?
What, like, are they just like sleeping all day and just like drinking? Like,
yes, I mean,
yes.
he's in the shower, or not in the shower, but he's in the bathroom, like going through stuff. Also day drinking, like finishing off. It seemed to me he was finishing off a beer that was left in there from the night before. Or I'm sorry, a nog.
Yeah, There's a whole bunch going on there.
Yeah, he has spent quite a bit of his money on fun.
On fun.
Yeah,
I don't think that was her name. So do you think that he brought that's all his money that he has over the shower there, or did he just take a little bit of it? There was a lot of cash in that case.
I think it's all of it, because I think he's not quite the rebel spy we know yet.
Not spending it wisely.
Yeah. That's kind of poetic the way it goes. Okay.
Also, the other thing I want to say is it's interesting that they sentenced him to 6 years looking forward, because it's interesting they chose a time period that's long. We know he can't be in there for 6 years because that math doesn't work.
This is another thing, like, before we get to our fun roundup at the end here.
Rebel Rodeo.
This is something we called. We said that he was likely going to get imprisoned, and this is where he's going to, meet K2SO.
Yeah, that's my guess. This is how he breaks out.
Get out, basically.
Yeah,
we threw a lot at the wall last week, but yes, we did mention that.
His escape will involve K2SO, right? That was also something we talked about. So we haven't gotten there yet. We'll see if the second part of that idea takes shape.
We shall see, but I feel like I'm really bad at predicting the show, which is I love a show that I'm not ahead of.
My knee-jerk reaction is that what's his name? Not Laurel.
Luthen Clay.
Luthen Rail.
Bell is also on hunt for Cassian as well.
Yeah, we didn't talk about that scene because I intentionally pocketed that because I'm going to talk about it in the Rebel Rodeo. So my gut reaction is that Val is going to find him in prison and bust him out. That's sort of, loose ends and all to kill him. He convinces her not to kill him, something. Or she reports back to Luthen that he's in prison and he's like, okay, we got to get him out, that sort of thing. And like, because I bet Luthen still has a candle for him. And I think he authentically believes Cassian's an asset and wants him on his side. So he's like, okay, I can buy his loyalty by getting him out of prison, which is exactly what happens to Jyn, right? Mm-hmm. She gets busted out of prison. Right. And like, are you thankful enough to help us?
Mhm.
So that would be a good parallel. But you never know.
I also think Cassian will keep looking for his sister. I don't think he's going to give
Oh
up.
Yeah.
And I'm interested to see. Another thing that occurred to me watching this episode was strange that Luthen Rail is a antiques dealer. Like, wouldn't you want to be almost more low profile than that? Because with reading all the ancillary materials and things like that, we know that like Palpatine loves antiques, like Darksiders love antiques, like relics, things like that.
I think he gets to play the foppish dandy, and like he's adopted this character that just looks so harmless because
I have to think it's just the writerly instinct to bring culture into it, and almost like he's keeping culture alive while like the Empire is trying to squash culture and tradition.
Yeah,
that's sort of like the symbol of why he's an antique, like why he's interested in culture.
If that place ever gets raided, he's really yeah. Up a hyper lane without a hyperdrive. For sure.
I don't.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm going to take the other side of the coin on your guess about the sister, because I just, that line for me was the only like a little clunky for me when she was like, and also don't follow your sister, don't chase your sister, she's dead.
Yeah,
I don't know. They may cross paths later in the series, but I don't know. It was just so deliberately put in there that I was like, well, maybe he'll like almost like they needed an excuse to explain why he's not going to chase after his sister anymore.
I felt like it was clunky because it was reminding people that he had a sister he was looking for.
Yeah,
like that's what I thought it was in there. So like, don't forget, we haven't talked about this in 4 episodes, but don't forget, you have a sister.
Yeah, and that was the
dinner party you wanted. Here's the dinner party.
Yeah, Ben. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Are you guys ready for the rodeo?
I'm ready.
Sure.
All right. I don't have a bumper for this, so let's just do the rodeo.
Episode roundup.
All right. I am going to stop recording now. Is that cool? Just take a breather.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Rodeo it up.
I'm going to rodeo it up. Whatever that means. I'm never going to let you let down. So
I know. It's like I said it. I'm like, don't know why I said it. Have never said that in my life. And I'll never forget it.
Yeah. There's only going to be one podcast where we say that word too many times. So,
yeah.
All right. We won't have to say it too many times, but we're using rodeo. We'll rodeo it up.
No, this is the episode roundup.
All right. Episode roundup.
ISP roundtable.
Mm-hmm. Let's rodeo the roundup.
This is going to be
let's rodeo this
conclusion to every episode of Andor that we do. I think we're going to add it on as a kind of bonus coverage segment. But it's basically just going through and talking about our favorite scenes, favorite moments, favorite characters, favorite lines, things like that. But we'll randomize the list every week, and I think this week we are starting with favorite scene. Is that right? Favorite scene.
Wow. Okay.
Well, I'm going to kick it to you, Ben.
All right, cool. Because I'm ready. I think I got to go with the dinner party.
The dinner party. That whole part. That was.
It's so tough though, because like
there's no wrong answer.
I know the Imperial scene is so good, like that it's so cutting. But I again, it's each new scene I was like, no, this one's better. They're both it's good. But
the Coruscant skyline, like at night, looking out her penthouse windows, like at this, it was gorgeous. I was like, I would love to just hang out and look at this view.
Oh yeah. I could spend some time in that apartment, in that penthouse. Hey, we didn't talk about this earlier. Did any of you see Mon Mothma's daughter and think it was Leia Organa for a second? I know the timing's not right, so
no, but I could totally get that. But I guess
it was like a
not
girl all
far
in
off.
white. Yeah, she's all in white. She was a little young, wearing the braids, speaking to other. She was speaking to her father, as it turned out. So it made a lot of sense.
I feel like she walked into the scene and didn't know why she was in the scene, and then just walked out.
I didn't look at the main characters in that scene at all. I was looking behind the scenes the whole time.
So was I, because we all know who we're looking for.
Yes, yeah. Just like one bald woman at the back.
More watch.
I literally, the first time I watched the scene, Ben, I was doing the exact same thing. Every time I around a corner, I was like literally tilting my head as if that would help me see around the corner of it flat
There are
screen.
some pretty sweet like prosthetics, like alien makeups in there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Look really cool. There's also a droid at the bar, I believe.
There's a droid bartender. Yep.
Yeah. Great background. elements.
Adam, what was your favorite scene?
It probably would have also been the dinner scene, but a close second for me, or possibly tied for first, is not all that different, but the Mon Mothma Luthian scene. I just love that. The fact that was just like, I was almost mouthing along with it as it was happening, because I just love the two different philosophies.
I like when he's like, "We need the fear." I was like, "Whoa!"
Yes,
like, he's utilizing fear. Like, what does that mean? And what's his intent? And it made you kind of reassess the entire situation. But also, like, I think you're still rooting for Luthen no matter what at the end of that scene.
Of course, because this is what creates the rebellion. Like, it's and it's the part of Rogue One that I think I love the most. Is just the reality of rebellion. Like,
every trailer line
dirty
is that scene
work.
Too.
Yeah, like it's so true, but it's dirty work. Like, I mean, it's an old saying, but you can't make an omelet without cracking some eggs. And the idea of just like, we have to make people suffer because we have to show them
up.
like and that he says that we're like, I can't remember the exact phrasing, but basically like they're moving so slowly we're not noticing that they're just killing us. And I love that scene for that reason.
Us so slowly we're starting to not notice.
We're starting to not notice. Yeah.
That's one of the greatest lines.
Yeah.
And just also,
I kind of feel that way at times too.
They haven't used that they would never use, like that idea, and sort of like the network's built, and it grows or it dies. It's like this rebellion has started and it's funded, and there's some legs here, and unless we keep funding it, it's gonna die. And
let's buy X-wings.
We need to go to side. We need to get some X-wings going. Okay.
What about you, Grant?
I'm gonna go final ISB sort of fighting mates. Young getting roasted, and then Blevin accusing Deidre, and Deidre turning the tables. I thought that scene was just expertly done. It's just best writing I've seen in thus far. I love.
I thought you were gonna go Marva Andor for sure.
Yeah,
that was the most emotionally powerful.
It's so good too. Yeah. They're all great. They're all tied for first.
Yeah, this is just kind of a quick pick of like what is just what stood out to you. Favorite line, favorite piece of dialogue. Could be dialogue exchange.
I mean, I'll just go because I already said it, but I butchered it because I do have no memory. But I think actually I don't think we hit on it, but I think. Grant, you mentioned it earlier, but the exchange between Mon Mothma and Luthian, because like people, where she's like, people are gonna suffer, and he just goes as we planned, right? Like that line, that's the plan. That's the plan. Yeah, I love that. I mean, I don't love that people are suffering, but I love that it's said out loud. That
delivery, it just some of the lines just are very simple in this episode, and just delivery by characters is amazing. Like when Clea leans in and says, "This is what revolution looks like." It's really cool. Like it's so good. Really great reads from everyone.
Yeah, and I love that Luthien's not hiding from it. Like he knows what the cost of this is.
Yeah. Okay, I got a good answer to this one. Sorry, Grant. You get to go last every time, I think.
That's fine. I'll introduce it and go last. That's great.
You created this monster, this rodeo monster. So at the end of Tay and Mon Mothma's conversation, Perrin, the DB, walks in.
Perrin DB. Coruscant.
Took me a second, but
yeah. I really want just like that's just all I want to call him.
Yep.
And he's teasing her about like the reunion she has coming up, but the line he delivers is, "She pretends not to care, but we both know better." And it was like it's a very meta line. This is like talking to the audience. It's like we both know better that she doesn't care. She like that. That was the whole point of that whole scene. that in one line, just like right there. It was just like she pretends not to care, but we both know better. That was the whole thing.
Yeah.
All right, Grant, what about you?
Dedra Miro's systems either change or die line sort of response.
Yeah.
Partagaz being like, "Oh, you undermine me." And again, this actually all goes hand in hand with our favorite scenes, I think, for all of us. But
yeah, makes sense. So
it makes sense. And basically that moment where he's basically like, "You're undermining me," and then she's like, "Systems either change or die." Like the system you created has to evolve for this threat.
Yeah,
I love. It feels like she delivers it in a way of just like. It's also the scene shot around it is. I almost feel like when she says it like as matter of factly, like this is a fact, and not really noticing the weight behind that and the reaction of everyone else around the table almost being like pulling back. Like and that was just so great. And just Partagaz's response was just like, that's true.
Like a Jerry Springer episode. It's so dramatic. And the very end where Partagaz is like, for the moment, I'm reassigning the Molana sector to Supervisor Miro. Ferrix is of great interest to her and clearly become a distraction for you. It was like, everybody at the end of the scene was like,
you got owned.
You got control of the system. No. Levin
so good.
Yeah, Tom Lesser, guy's a boss.
Such a good scene.
He just slays.
And
yeah. Oh man, that's so great.
Favorite
also
shot, Ron,
I was just wanted to say, Grant, a Mike Tushman reference. Mike Tushman would also agree with systems either change or die, which is a Harvard Business School.
Always the 11th hour. Okay. What is it?
Systems much change or die. Ambidextrous learning. Something. Sorry.
Okay.
Inside joke there. Grant and I both work at.
Okay. Favorite shot.
Oh, this is good because we didn't talk about how beautiful this episode was. They're all beautiful.
It's
Grant, if you want to go first on this one. I know you got one in the chamber.
Oh, there's so many gorgeous shots. I would say like best just sort of establishing shot or I guess wide shot would be Clea just walking across that sky bridge in Coruscant.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Are we really doing this right now? That was gorgeous. But I kind of like the profile, the kind of high angle profiles of both Blevin and again, this ties back to my favorite scene of Blevin and Dedra when they're arguing. I like the sort of like cerebral high angle. It's atypical framing. It felt like it was nice. It was nice in Star Wars to be more experimental with the frame. And I thought when they were debating and they were kind of get these abstract angles, it was kind of nice.
Yeah, if they must have built that room. They have so many scenes there, but it's beautiful. Like the geometry of the background and like the light coming from everywhere. That room is gorgeous.
And then Naomis, obviously. The establishing shot of Naomis is.
Yeah, that one's pretty good. I guess I have to go with the last shot of the episode because it was like I have a friend who refers to like giant office buildings, which we have a lot of in Massachusetts around the circle that rings. She calls them Death Stars. Mm-hmm. And I always thought that was pretty funny because they're cube farms. And, as someone who's worked in cube farms before, it's the most terrifying thing in the world. But then we actually get to see like an Imperial cube farm. Like it's like meta. It's like, this is the, cube farms imitate the Death Star and this is the Death Star imitating those cube farms that are, and it felt very THX 1138. If you've seen that movie, I got those vibes off of that. And it was just beautiful and terrifying at the same time.
Yeah. And it was like thousands of hexagonal little cubicles where you work like two monitors and just dial through all these databases of information. And that's just his
work that a droid really should be doing. Yeah, it's just a very demeaning.
But I have to think like the way when they show Cyril at the end of the episode looking through that data log, it's like, is he looking for Cassian? Like,
That's a
That was
big
kind of
jump.
the intent. I thought it was like, is he still trying to hunt for this guy? And then now that he's registered in the system as Keith, whatever, like he actually keeps Cassian's face on
Right.
his,
Yeah.
That's not crazy, but I did not think that at all. I thought this was purgatory, and he was this is his like rock
definitely.
bottom, and and he's plotting his comeback somehow. But I love that you're like, oh, he's still doing that job from here, and he's
That's
never
scary
given
to
up.
me. That's terrifying to me, honestly.
Yeah,
He's still hunting for someone, just as
Yeah.
this, like,
yeah,
desk work.
I mean, so that naturally ties into my favorite scene or shot, which is the establishing shot of the Bureau of Standards.
yeah.
like,
cool. Yeah.
I'm trying and I'm racking my brain.
It's like a volcano, right, from the outside, like a
Yeah, and then when
deconstructed
you get
volcano.
inside, is it the movie The Apartment? No.
Yeah,
What movie is
exactly? Yeah, with the
where they shoot inside the office and they use this effect. And they use this effect, I think, in there where they basically used, really like harsh angles, and they actually ended up using miniature desks and little people to make it feel like it goes on forever. And I can't remember and I think it's The Apartment. Correct me if I'm wrong.
It is The Apartment. Yeah,
And I swear that shot was borrowed for this, and this was done digitally. But just if you look at that scene,
it's definitely
it just goes on
with
and on
endless
and on
elephants.
and on. Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
like it just is so well shot and so well done.
That's awesome.
So
favorite
Adam, I
new
think you said.
character. Oh, did we do everyone for that category?
No, Adam hasn't gone yet, right? Did you
No,
do
wasn't it?
Did favorite shot? Yeah.
That was it. The Bureau of Standards that was
Okay,
borrowing
same.
from the
The apartment sort of shot. The establishment when they walk in. Basically.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
okay.
kind of felt like Loki in that moment too. It was cool.
yeah.
Now we have favorite new character, favorite name, or favorite new character. I thought this was because there's so many inventive Star Wars names, but then also just there was maybe some fun new characters on the screen, and they can be big or small, or a little screen time or a lot. Any favorite
yeah.
new?
Yeah.
I've got one. It is attendant Felzonis.
Nice.
That's a good one.
Because he's a great character, and I've also wondered he ratted out Mira, right? Because that's how Blevin knew that.
I mean, if they inquired about it, of course he would have to just tell them that.
Yeah, I assumed he immediately called Levin.
Yeah, like Blevin might have been a step ahead of her on there because he was so smug about it, and I think Felzonis, is a spineless, sniveling, he's the other type. There's two types of Imperials, as I started to say before, and there's the kind that try to kiss up their way to the top, and the other ones that try to backstab their way to the top, and and fight. And then actually, I guess there's a third where there's actually people that really believe in the cause and do whatever it takes to succeed. But
yeah.
But mostly it's snivelers and backstabbers.
Yep.
And he's a sniveler.
He really is. I have two. So Grant, why don't you go in case you? So
All right, I don't know the name of the character that
if it's one of my two, I might be able to help you out.
It's essentially the armadillo puppet that gives the old woman a sip of the drink.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's like, ah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We hold on the lifeless puppet face for a second, and then it cuts. I was like, that is amazing. So Armadillo guy is my vote for favorite.
It was very Fear and Loathing.
Yeah, it was. Totally. Yeah. Related to that, mine. So my favorite new character, name's pretty great too, is Windy. And Windy is the person that Cassian is with on Niamos.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
Nuts.
Windy. I love that name.
Windy. Yeah. Just a shout out though to Flob.
Who is Flob?
Flob is the.
Wait, we should guess who this is.
Yeah. Any guess of who Flob might be?
Is Flob at Mon Mothma's dinner party?
Flob is not at Mon Mothma's dinner party.
I feel like we've seen Flob before.
I feel like you're not going to get it because it's not who you think. It's,
Okay,
it's a human. Flob is the person interviewing Car, which at the Bureau of Standards. Just like the name. The only name I give is Flob.
Oh, that's amazing.
It's like
But,
Bob, but Space Bob is like Flob.
Yeah, Flob. But I like Wendy. I think it's a new type of character we've seen. I like that. Once again, we are how many movies deep, how many shows deep, and they're still giving us a new location, which is like as Ben mentioned, Space Cancun. But like it's a thing, right? And like they really did a good job of creating a feel for that location in like 20 seconds. Yeah,
totally. I felt like if you've ever been to the West, like it really felt like Mexico to me, like the West, like Mazatlan. Yeah, totally, it's like a little hazy and like hot and you can see it and it's just like built for nothing but tourism and like, yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I just got that vibe.
The set was gorgeous. The concrete sort of beach, I guess beachside sort of dwelling that he lived in was cool. I love it.
Yeah. Do you know where they shot this? Because this is all practical. I mean, I'm sure Instagram will tell me if I go on there because someone we follow does a really good job of breaking down all the real world shooting locations. But be fascinated to see where that is.
Yeah, it would be cool.
Yeah.
It looks like a real beach. It looks like they went somewhere.
It does.
Set up.
Yeah.
They actually put production design around the beach.
And even those walls, like in his final, like as he's approaching the thing, like they come into play with those portholes. And you're like panning and you're following like on the other side of the wall. So you see like a porthole with Cassian, then you see a shore trooper, then a porthole with Cassian, and then
that was. I loved seeing the shore trooper. Obviously,
can we talk about the shore troopers for a second?
Sure, let's talk about shore troopers.
They didn't look like shore troopers to me at first, and I thought for sure they would call them beat. No, because they looked different. They looked like an earlier version, right? Like they didn't look to me. They looked a little more informal. And I thought for sure they were going to call them beach troopers. I thought we were going to get
shore troopers, dude. That's
I know
down to the letter.
Is it? All right, it looked different to me.
And you can even tell their rank. Most of them were like ranking like sergeants. They're like red paint, and then they had white and red paint for the security droids, which harkens back to the white and red clone troopers that do security and imprisonment during the judge hearing. That judge is also good casting too. She was fantastic.
Tell it to the emperor.
Tell it to the emperor.
Do you want to get more time for what was it? Disobeying or disagreeing with the sentence? I can't remember the phraseology of it, but I'm like, oof.
Yeah.
Brutal.
Best dressed.
Ooh.
Best dressed. Who's got the best drip in the episode?
On Mothma, like.
Yeah, it's between Mon Mothma for me, but I'll go. I was commenting off air how much I liked Mon Mothma's dress, but I will say I really liked Tay's outfit.
Okay. Yeah.
Like, how often do we see like that light blue color in a Star Wars?
Yeah.
Like you knew he was from Chandrilla pretty quickly, like right, like just from
I gotta say the one that catches my eye a lot is Perrin Mothma. His robes robes.
No,
he's wearing like
this goes along with
like
your Dengar love.
Best
Perrin
dress.
is getting
best.
He's wearing three robes and a kimono like that.
Yeah, he really is. Yeah, I mean, like you get the D chills off of him immediately when you see him.
Yeah,
actually, saying D chills instead of the real world sounds worse.
He's not on the rankings. He's to be ousted.
All right,
that's incorrect. What is your real answer, Ben?
Yeah. Please tell us.
I just wanted to mention it because I was like,
it's definitely worth mentioning.
No, he's definitely making a statement.
Yes.
I don't know if it's like the best.
I'm a giant. Something I can't say.
Okay, I will go. Actually, you answer because I have to find her the characters.
No, I'm sorry, Ben. You can like how he's dressed if you want. I mean, it says a lot about you, but you can like him.
No, I'm not gonna wear it. I just thought it was like it's a
statement. Yeah.
What is her name? Lita? Is that her name? Luthen Rail's.
Oh yeah.
Sister?
Oh, you took mine.
serves us right for calling out
that's some futuristic sort of tailoring there. It's pretty stunning. It's pretty cool. Like in the costume design and all the extras behind her in those scenes is incredible as well.
Yeah,
can I also say
someone could actually wear that today, like what she was wearing, and I think I saw like 6 girls in Boston wearing that today. But
it's so
sick.
Yeah.
But it's such a statement look that it's actually like on. It's what when you look at episode 7 on Disney Plus, you see her. That's what they chose.
That's
for the cover image.
Right. She's the splash page.
Yeah.
Cool outfit.
I also think I'm face blind, or it might be because it was such a different look. It took me a really long time to figure out that that's who it was.
Me too. It wasn't until she was talking to Val, and it was it was about 3/4 of the way through that conversation. I was like, oh,
same.
Yeah, because they were both incognito. Even Val was like had this like insane. It was probably a wig, but it was like this beautiful like hair, incognito. Going on.
Felt very like spy film when she's like, "You want me to find Cassian? You want me to kill him?"
Yeah. Honorable mention was incognito Cassian Andor on back on Ferrix. I was really admiring his trench coat. He is, I don't know if you saw at his feet, he has a giant side pockets on the side.
I did not.
Giant side.
Full
like
reach,
you could put
full
a
reach,
toaster in each one of them. Yeah. His trench coat, you could like hide 2 toasters in that trench coat, like in the bottom of it.
It was a long trench coat. I did admire it as well.
Oh, look at that. Yeah, I'm pulling up. That is some.
You can't deny Mon.
Some late 90s look. Some like.
Yeah,
I watched
Jinko side pocket like trench coat.
Marva's jumpsuit's definitely up there as well.
Yeah,
Marva's jumpsuit.
I also love the scene where she's like walking with a cane and getting a blaster, and I'm like, yeah,
that was it. Just picking up, and I'm pretty sure that blaster is from Battlefront 2. The assault troopers have this sort of shotgun that they have sort of stashed on their body, and they pull out. It's like a mode, and it looks exactly like that. It's like a really nice like war shotgun, and I'm pretty sure that was the design they used.
Well, we can't go past this category without mentioning Cyril's brown suit, which I think got a hero moment.
You'd be upset
the only costume that got a hero moment for the sake of layered commentary on things we can all too relate with. That had happened in our past recently, and happened to our president, and some super messed up stuff. Just really great commentary, I thought, with the right-leaning mom sort of going after Cyril for his brown suit. What's he supposed to be wearing? What does she think like he should wear to this job interview?
Yeah, he's like gray, like or his
non-tailored but fitting suit. Like I don't know. Like I get the impression that no matter what he wore, it was not going to be a positive interaction.
Yeah,
it was even bad that he tailored it. Like that was a negative. I feel.
Yeah. He's like, what do you think it says? It says I'm dying for attention and I don't think I'm good enough. Is this I think what she said? Or is like
exactly. Like savage, instantaneous response.
Incredibly dark, honestly. And
not a healthy home environment.
Yeah.
So I'm just setting myself up for abject failure when this doesn't happen. But I'm starting to get some serious Norman Bates vibes from him. Ooh. And they are really like, they are, having watched that movie several times over the past 5 years, Psycho.
How do you say that there's like an Anthony
my
Perkins
film class
vibe to like,
she's very Anthony Perkins, and she's very much the living embodiment of Norma Bates, which, go ahead and dissect Norma and Norman Bates all you want. But like, you know what I'm saying? Like when he has the flashbacks in Psycho and hears what he thinks his mother would be saying to him is very much similar to what Cyril's actual mother is saying to him. Like he's gonna snap.
Does he snap and kill his moms? That'd be wild.
Probably. Yes. Like I don't know. It's
now that you say that, that's all like
there's definitely serial killer vibes, and just in terms of like the eating the cereal every day.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Is
Serial
that why
killer
we're seeing
vibes.
space cereal in every episode with him? It's just like cereal.
Yes, there. Just all subliminal.
Yeah. All right. Let's finish this roundup with a bang here. Most memeable moment. Where would you make the meme? What expression? What line of dialogue? What could you see? What could you use tomorrow and win the Slack?
Ugh.
Oh, and win the Slack. I'm not gonna. Yeah,
I'm
not
gonna say
good at this,
thesis,
but-
please. It could get some use. Honestly,
Thesis, please.
thesis, please
if I
could
was-
get use.
I love the cut to the synthwave and flamingos flying, and I think I was making a meme. It would just be a random scene that would just cut to that.
That's like yeah.
I just love that moment.
yeah. Even that lady and the armadillo creature.
Oh
Actually.
yeah, that's a good one. You could totally a reaction gift to that.
Yeah, I'm gonna call back to an earlier quote that I said. The no. This is like, can I speak now? No.
No,
that's
a good one.
That'll
That's a
get
good
some
one.
use.
Yeah.
That's definitely one.
Yeah.
I think there's
That's the
there's
plan.
a couple
That's a
Luthen
good one.
moments where he's like,
Yeah, I was gonna say
like,
the
are you
Luthen,
involved?
yeah.
And he's like, how I wish I had been, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's so funny. He ends up raising his hand, sort of. It's
Yeah. Or
gesture.
even just the way he delivers, that's the plan. like, you could use that as well.
That whole scene, they're just pantomiming for the spy outside.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like he's like delivering this thing, but they're both pantomiming entirely different conversations so that like the other person doesn't detect anything. It's such a great scene.
I think there's actually an expression and just a look, an altogether vibe that I think is the greatest meme of this episode, and that's Dedra sort of like leaning into the debate at the end, and she says, "He's put a lot into it. I'm curious to hear his insights." And like her expression in that moment is hilarious. Like she is waiting to hear the response.
Yeah,
it's so good. She's so good in that role.
That's really classic. Grant, I know you wanted to wrap this up, but I really want you to ask best piece of music in this.
Best piece of music. Let's go. We'll have other categories next week, but yeah, best piece of music.
Come on. Like,
you want to keep going? You want to just keep going?
No, sure, we can keep going. But who's like? All right, Ben, go ahead. Since you wanted to do it, what's yours?
All right, because I know what you all think, and because like right after the episode ended, I was like Galactic Synthwave.
Yeah,
like you guys like in like 100 pairs of Ray-Bans, because like the end. I mean, it is a dope song, but I wanted to sort of. I was like, no, too easy, too low hanging fruit, because it is amazing. But they have another synthwave track, and it is for the Val and Kylie.
Clea.
Oh,
Clea,
yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
Scene.
That is really good.
I could just have that music. It's just like, it's very drony, but it's beautiful, and it's like saturated, and someone's just riding the pitch shift like wheel on the synthesizer. And it's a very calm truesy.
Yeah, when she's walking through the city, I think it's playing some.
Yep.
Good music.
It also is not. It's not so. Well, so my wife and I got into a debate after this. She is. I will say this: she is not a fan of the music in this show, even though she loves synthwave. She's like, not Star Wars. It keeps taking me out of the show. It keeps taking me out of the show. Which I'm like, totally get that. But she's also more observant of music than I am, if that makes sense. Like, I just don't generally tend to, unless I'm actively listening for it. And so I will say that the one I was going to pick is the obvious choice, which is the synthwave over the things. But like, I caught that, and so I guess part of it is like, if I'm catching the music, maybe the music's not doing the job it should be doing. Does that make sense? Like, if I'm noticing it. So I love Ben. I love your choice because
New World, like
I
felt that was a choice.
But I love Ben's choice because I'm like, I didn't notice it, but the second you started talking about it, I thought back to that scene. I'm like, oh, it was so great. It felt like Coruscant. It felt like it was like in like, it just really worked. So I think that's a great choice.
I'm going with the electronic music at the end. I mean, that's
oh, like the closing credits.
I think the closing credits is just the continuation of the synthwave.
Yeah, they just reprise the music of
right from the
from Isonus or whatever.
Yeah.
But I also like the music that's playing when he's like running down the beach and like there's just some like drumming happening. So good. The whole episode's unreal.
It's really good. But now that we're doing this, I'll pay more attention to the music, because the only one that clicked, like, that stood out for me was the flamingo scene.
Yeah.
Most appetizing, just to end it on the bonus category. Most appetizing moment, food item.
Food item? I mean, I kind of want, what is it? The, darn it, we were talking about it earlier, and I can't remember the name of it.
Embassy Punch?
Yeah, Perrin's Embassy Punch looked pretty good.
Yeah, the Embassy Punch? The Tay was drinking?
Shocking. It's all liquor for me. Every drink looked like, every time there's a different drink, I'm like, ooh, I would try that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that did look delicious. And, I got a Halloween party this Saturday. There might be something that looks a lot like the Sea Punch.
All right. Exciting.
All right, that is, that's it. I mean, I can't think of any other food items even in the show, but maybe the sip that the lady's sipping on at the end on the beach.
Yeah, it was more of a Midori affair, or like a green beverage. That was the green grungy.
Yeah, it was the green grungy, and
Greeny Revnog.
Cassian was drinking something.
I wanted some
green Revnog. Yeah.
I love the fact that there's like Revnog. It's a thing. It's a Star Wars thing. Don't worry about it. We've talked about it for the last 40 years. Don't worry about it. It's really a thing.
Yeah,
because they're doubling down on Nog.
On the Nog. Actually, there is another beverage there that looks even better. I'm pretty sure it's this episode. It's the beginning of the dinner party, and it's half drunk, if that, by Mon Mothma. She's holding it. It's in this long stemware coupe glass. It's pink with like some sort of garnish that's sticking straight up through the middle of it.
Yeah.
And it's gorgeous. And she just she's holding it out as she's walking in, and it's like a stunning shot. And then like a server just comes over and she just lays it on the, and takes it from her as she's making her way over to Tay. Like, this moment has been absolutely planned down to the second. But that drink looks stunning. It's very beautiful.
I'm literally right there, and now I'm trying to look at it, because as we go past the server droid, there's also these other like green, like these green drinks in this really skinny tall glass. Ooh, that kind of looks amazing. Yeah,
I think I just wanted to be there and have a few beverages and leave. Like, I don't support the Empire, but I would like to just be in that room for a few minutes.
Well, you'd be in good company there. People have a lot stronger political beliefs than some are comfortable with.
Good pull.
Yeah. Fun party. All right. This was Andor episode 7 announcement. Fantastic episode. Can't wait for next week. We're just going to stick with Andor, man, for now until this is done, because we just love it. And I've spent a lot of time on this, but I just am so excited about this show. I want to give 100% of.
I guess. My only question is, do we have enough to talk about to fill an episode?
Oh my goodness. Depends what you call an episode. Is it an hour and a half an episode? Then yeah, we do.
Is it longer than the episode we just watched?
Yeah, that usually means it's a pretty good episode and or film or something when we actually go longer than the thing. But yeah, it was great.
We never did the Leo meme of just like the Dedra line of it's not a robbery. It's an announcement.
It's an announcement. Yeah.
End of the episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I missed it the first time I watched it. I was like, wait, what's the announcement? There's just so much. The dialogue is so fast,
so heavy,
so
it's great.
dense, and it just like comes at you. And it like, I've just got to have like no interruptions, nothing, just like focused right on this. And then even then it's like, I'm sure I'll watch this again, before we watch the next episode, and I'll get even more out of it. So super fun. Thanks very much. If again, whatever podcast media, your system you're using to listen to your podcast, if you could give us a 5-star review, we would greatly appreciate it. It really helps out our optimization, so people can find us and listen to us also. But really appreciate you listening to this podcast. We love doing it, and we'll do it again next week. So take care, be safe. And may the Force be with you.
This is Grex Kondak signing off. For the latest breaking news, follow @CoreWorldNews on Twitter and Instagram. Thank you and good night.
Remember, the Force will be with you always.